MD Investor, channel where we talk about personal finance, setting goals, achieving goals, and breaking the cycle of generational poverty. New video today, guys. Today we're going to talk about the 5 lessons I learned after investing in dividend stocks for a year. So the 5 lessons I've learned after 1 year of dividend growth investing. Before we get into the video, if there's people out there you think could benefit from this financial information, let them know about the MD Investor. On YouTube, it's MD Investor, and on Instagram, it's MD Investor 1. So the 5 things I learned from dividend investing. So first thing is, I would say, if you learn that you need to have cash flow. Cash flow is basically the difference between your income and your expenses, right? So if your income and your expenses are equal or the same, you have zero cash flow. You won't be investing in anything because your food, your clothes, your mortgage, your rent, your groceries, your light, your insurance, everything, the basic necessity to live consumes all of your money. You have no margin. If your income is more than your expenses, then you have positive cash flow, right? You have $5,000 coming in per month, and your expenses are $3,000. You have a cash flow of $2,000. If your expenses is larger than your income, then you have negative cash flow, right? So you have $5,000 coming in for income, but you have $6,000 going out, so you have a negative $1,000. So the first thing I learned from investing in dividend growth stock is that you need cash flow. You need to be able to live below your means. Okay? You need to be humble. You need to buy the smaller house, the smaller apartment, the car that's 2 or 3 years old, not going out to dinner, not going to that fancy vacation. All this stuff, you need to control yourself and be humble until you get to that point. So that's lesson number 1. You have to be aware that you need cash flow. All the investing knowledge you have means nothing if you have no money to invest. So, number 2, the second thing I learned is that it's possible to achieve financial independence with dividends. Sometimes you have to just realize that something is possible. Sometimes you have to even realize that something is possible. I think the saying goes, you have to believe it to achieve it, or something like that, right? You have to believe it to achieve it, because if you don't believe something, then you're not going to put the effort out, right? If you don't believe something is possible, you're not going to even try. Why should I try? It's not even possible, okay? So I've learned after a year of investing that it is possible to achieve financial independence through dividend, right? Never really knew that before, but now I realize it's possible. So just a quick review. These are my dividends through the different months of 2020. So January, $5.13. February, I made $94.56. March, $79.27. April, $62.12. May, $153.21. June, $341.64. July, $139.35. It's not a steady increase, but for the most part, it is going up. August, $320.66. September, $490.61. October was my largest month, $1,320.25. November, $828.23. And December, last month, was $535.45. So that is all of my dividends for November. I wrote it down here somewhere, my total. I think my total was about, I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. My total in dividends for 2020 was $4,370.48. So $4,370.48. That's my total dividend for 2020. Okay? So, like I said, let me get back to, you have to believe something is even possible. And you remember not years ago, I guess, maybe a year ago, we talked about when you set goals, and the goal you should have should be SMART. The mnemonic is SMART, SMART. Talk about SMART goals. S stands for specific. Yeah. So your goals have to be specific, right? So you have to have a specific goal. So whether you want to lose 10 pounds or whether you want to grow your portfolio to $5,000 per month in dividends, whatever it is, it has to be very specific, right? It's not vague. You know what it is. The M stands for measurable. We have to be able to measure it. How are we going to know if we have achieved it or not? It has to be measurable. So if you say your goal is to achieve 5,000 per month in dividends, you'll know, am I getting closer? So it has to be measurable. The A stands for achievable or attainable, right? Meaning it has to be possible. So that gets back to my second point that after a year of dividend growth, I believe it is possible to achieve financial independence through dividends. And once you believe something, that changes everything, right? Once you believe that, because it's going to affect your action, right? So I believe that it's achievable after a year and doing different calculations and going on different websites and checking different formulas. I believe, yeah, it's achievable. Or it's relevant. What does it matter? Well, if you can achieve something that, like we talked about, is for the example of 5,000 a month, then you can achieve some level of financial independence, right? Whether it's total financial independence or maybe 50% financial independence. But basically, it's relevant, meaning it matters, right? It matters. And time bound, right? You can't just have these goals and there is no time. The time it keeps you accountable, right? Right. That's why you would stay up in the morning and study, do an all-nighter, because your report was due the next day, or you did an all-nighter because the midterm was coming up. Normally you wouldn't do that, but the time is limited and it forced you it affected your action basically. Okay, so it's possible. I've learned after a year of dividend growth investing, it is possible to achieve dividend, or correction, it's possible to achieve financial independence. We have looked at this dividend calculated in the past, and I just want to show it here just to kind of let you know why I think things are possible. Or you can, you have to have some reason, some rationale. Why do you believe that, right? Why do you believe that? So look at this dividend calculator, right? You've seen before, we said, looking at a portfolio, right? So not individual stocks, you have a portfolio, so many different stocks. It's in a taxable account, right? And say the frequency of our distribution, right? Meaning the dividend is going to be quarterly. And we're going to reinvest the dividend, right? So DRIP stands for dividend reinvestment plan. Yes, we will reinvest the dividends. Say we are starting capital, starting principal. Let's say we're starting here with, let's put 0. Annual contribution, let's put $2,400, right? So we're doing $200 a month. $200 a month. We're going to dividend tax rate of 15%. Our annual dividend yield for the portfolio, we'd say 4%. Not to be too aggressive. Expected annual dividend increase in percent per year. So let's say we believe we can get about a 7% increase in our dividends per year, which is possible with great blue chip companies. Expected annual share price appreciation, we say 3%. The underlying asset. And let's run it. We'll run it for 30. Let's put 30 years. Let's put 40 years. Let's put 40 years. And let's calculate our dividends. Okay, so we've seen this before, what they call the hockey stick, right? Meaning it's very, very minimal change initially, and then toward the end, it goes straight up like a hockey stick. So let's take a look. So we'll do year one, and the assumption is you're putting in $2,400 a year or $200 per month. Year one I get the assumption that they put in the $2,400 toward the end of the year. And that's why there's no dividend. But in reality, you'd be getting dividends um, all throughout the first year. Anyhow, you see the dividends are low and initially, right? 100, 200, $300. First couple of years, very low, right? Even after a decade, right? You're only getting $2,000 per month. I'm already at 4,300, right? So if I was on this scale at $4,300 in dividend, I'm already somewhere at about year 13. If you're going to use this, I'm already at year 13. Anyhow, you see as you go along, the dividend, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, but it's very slow, right? Even after 2 decades. The first 10 years, you get 2,000. Between year 11 and 15, you're up to get to about 6,000. Year 16 to year 20, you're up to 20,000. Very slow. After that, you see the increases are very more dramatic, right? Between year 20 and year 21, it goes up $6,000, right? By year 24, you're at 55,000 in dividend. But by using the dividend calculator like this, that's how I know that it's possible. After 30 years, you're already at over $300,000 in dividends. So by year 35, you're at $2 million in dividends, right? So when I'm not getting things, just out of thin air when I say that. The second thing I learned is that it is possible to be financially independent on dividend. The third thing that I've learned from a year of dividend growth investing is that you got to be consistent. You have to be consistent. You see, even in this calculator, it says $2,400 every year. They don't miss it. They don't miss it. $200 a month. They don't miss it. So this is what makes me think that it is possible. You have to be consistent. Things are gonna come up, right? Situations always come up. It's gonna be maybe you want to take a vacation because you've been working hard, and then maybe I'll just I won't contribute to my portfolio for a couple of months. Something is always gonna come up, right? But this is where you have to be consistent. You got to be strong. You got to realize, I'm not gonna just live for today, but think about tomorrow. So you have to be consistent. Number 4, I'd say I've learned that you have to do some background research. Things sometimes change. Like for example, with Wells Fargo, they had cut their dividends, and because of that, I dropped them from the portfolio. So you have to do some research and look into the company you're investing in. Otherwise, if you don't want to do the research, a dividend ETF might be the better way to go. And I think the last thing that I've learned after a year of dividend growth investing is that it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And I say that because, you may be thinking, okay, my long-term goal is $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, whatever it is. Now, you may be looking for, okay, well, I'm only at $10. I'm only at $15 or pennies or whatever. But you have to consider that when you look at a schedule like we're looking at right now, it goes out into the future. So you have to have that long-term view. And the other thing that let me add this is that sometimes people say money to spend. When you spend all your time just saving, investing, money is made to be spent. I agree, but what you have to think about is what are you buying, right? You may say that I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go out to dinner. I'm going to buy a mink coat. I'm going to buy a nice Mercedes 600. I'm going to go to Hawaii, whatever. Yeah, you're buying something. But when you're investing your money, you're also buying something too. You're buying financial independence, meaning I do not have to rely on my job. You're buying your time back as well, right? Because if it takes 40 hours a week for you to make your $60,000 a year, that's $2,000 a year. That's a lot of time. If someone is able to get that $2,000, if someone is able to get that $60,000 in dividends passively, they now have that 2,000 hours back. That's 2,000 hours for them to spend time with their family, spend time on their hobbies, do things that make them, that brings quality and joy to their life. That's your freedom. So, like I said, quickly go over the thing that I've learned after 12 months, a year of dividend growth investing is one, cash flow. They say cash is king. Cash flow is king. You need to have excess left over after you pay the bills, and with that, you're going to have to invest that. Okay, so you have to live below your means. For most of us, we have to cut our expenses. For some of us, we have to increase our income as well. Number two, I learned that it's possible. Okay, it's possible. It's achievable to obtain financial independence. And even if it's not total financial independence, even if it's 50% or 25%, anything extra coming in that you don't have to work for, that's a benefit. Number three, I've learned that you have to be consistent in investing into your portfolio. You have to be consistent, okay? You can't be sketchy. You have to be consistent. And a good way to be consistent is to make it automatic, okay? So to have the money taken out, make it automatic. The fourth thing I learned with, you got to be a little involved, okay? You got to be involved in research and looking. I'm not saying, you have to spend hours and hours, but you have to spend some time maybe picking out the companies that you want to invest in. Learning some things, right, that may be beneficial to you. For example, I learned that just by studying that real estate investing trust, the dividend that they pay are not qualified. So they're taxed at your ordinary income. They're called ordinary dividends. So when I learned that, I said, well, you know what? Maybe I need to make a change. Why should I have these REITs like Realty Income, ticker symbol O, in my M1 paying a high tax when I could have that in my Roth IRA where there's no tax? So you have to be a commit to be a lifelong learner. And the fifth thing I learned is that it's a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So just continue on a regular basis, and eventually that apple seed or that fruit seed is going to grow into a beautiful tree one day, and you'll be able to eat and enjoy the fruit thereof. Not just you, but your family as well. So this is the MD Investor again, coming with another episode of the MD Investor, just to increase your financial IQ. If there's people out there you think could benefit, let them know about the MD Investor. And we're going to continue to study and learn and take action so we can break the cycle of generational poverty. And I will see you on the next one.